This Facebook ad strategy is one of the main reasons as to why I've been able to scale my brand from 6 figures to 7 figures, all the way to over 8 figures per year in revenue. And not only that, it's made my clients over 100 million per year in sales across their stores. Now that's a crazy number, and it's made up of only like 25, 26 active clients. I don't work with many people, but that's just to show you it didn't just work for me, it works for many, many others as well. So if you want to learn more about that, check out the link in the description. Outside of that, let me get into it. So one of the main things I want to start with is I'm going to go over the structure first and how I actually run the ads. And then I'm going to walk you through why none of that actually matters and why that was the key to scaling, right? So the structure I currently use, and this changes all the time. I'm always testing new things. And if you're ever in doubt about something, just test it, right? But pretty much the current structure is very brain dead, if you will, right? So we have, I'll do it this way. We have one CBO campaign. I have attached to this the one ad set. This ad set, go like this, is broad and original audience. Okay, and original audience. That's key because by default now Facebook likes to put the Advantage Plus audience. I found when I split test this that the original audience just scales and does better and lasts longer than the Advantage Plus one. But once again, take with what you will, test both. Now, with that being said, this is completely broad, 18 to 65 plus, both genders, because my product does not matter. It could be men or women, right? If it's specific to women, great, just go women. Specific to men, just go men. Point is, we're trying to make this as broad as possible. Another thing I'll add in there, because people do ask this as well, is this is auto placements. Okay, automatic placements. I don't manually put on the feeds or anything like that. Now, inside the ad set, one campaign, one ad set, I launch what is now called in Facebook flex ads. This historically, right, was DCTs. So every single week, currently I'm launching about 12 to 20 new concepts, new briefs per hero product that I run. I currently run 2 on the front end. Most cases, you should just be running 1 unless you get to massive scale, and you can branch out to a second. Point is, I'm launching all my ads, flex ads, in one single ad set. Now, you can do this on the ad set level instead, and instead of this setup, essentially what this would look like, and it's really just preference, to be honest. I just like it simpler on the ad level, but to me, it makes no difference. I used to do it on the ad set level. I switched to the ad level. Do what you want, right? So once again, this is one CBO. If you did it at the ad set level, we would have ad set 1, ad set 2, ad set 3, right? And in each of these, you have the same single flex ad. So instead of launching them all in one ad set, you just launch them in their individual ad sets. Flex, right? Flex. That's it. Very brain dead, straightforward, and simple. Now, for the flex ads, I need to address, because everyone goes, well, Dante, Facebook got rid of the breakdowns, right? You can't break down which creative's doing the best. Okay. Now, this is kind of where we get into the more higher level stuff. Okay. Flex ads, when I run my flex ads, I'm doing 3, 2, 2. That's 3 creatives, 2 headline, 2 primary text. Now, each flex ad is split by concept. So the 3 ads, the headlines and primary text, are all focused on one singular ad concept or a new angle that I'm testing. Okay? That's it. So it's by concept. Now, the important part here is 90% plus of my ads that I test currently are what I call type 1 ads. Type 1 ads is a net new ad. Okay? The only other type of ad that you could launch is a type 2 ad. A type 2 ad is an iteration. Now, it's important to define this. A type 2 ad, which is just an iteration ad, is you change one thing. You have the same ad, you just change the hook. Or you have the same ad and you're just changing new B-roll. Or you have the same ad and you are just changing the creator, right? You're changing one thing in the ad, and that's an iteration. I call that a type 2 ad. Now, type 1 ad is anything that's not type 2 ad. It's just a net new ad, right? It's new messaging, it's a new script. It can still even be all the same B-roll, but I'm testing new hooks and a new script. Point is, it's a completely new ad, most times with completely new content as well, just because content scales and you're probably not investing into as much content as you should be. Now, with that being said, because it's split by concept, because 90% plus of my tests are type 1 ads, because if I find a winner, then I'll do a type 2 ad. But if I find 1 to 3 versions of this ad that's winning, finding a 4th or 5th winning version of the already winning ad isn't going to scale me massively. What's going to scale me massively is testing another type 1 ad, a new concept that picks up spend, right? Because now I'm getting a different segment of my audience, of the market, coming in from a new concept with new messaging. That's how you scale. In other words, what the whole focus of this strategy is creative diversity. You may hear this across Twitter or different, groups or discords or whatever. Creative diversity just means testing a wide variety of things, right? We're testing different concepts, different angles, different avatars. We're testing different ad structures. We're testing photos. We're testing videos. We're testing long form. We're testing short form. We're testing everything, different creators, etc. The goal here is to find as many good winning ad sets that we can give the algorithm, Facebook, to do what it needs to do best, which is find us new customers. So my goal is to launch new type 1 ads, figure out where does Facebook spend, and that gives me directional information as to what the algorithm thinks will get me the most customers. Because when you set up your CBO and it's a conversion, right? It's a conversion campaign, and then your ad set has the purchase event, the algorithm is optimizing to find you the most volume of purchases. And so whatever flex ads are getting spend, right? That's the algorithm telling you something about that concept, something about that flex ad, it thinks will drive more volume of purchases than the others. Okay? That's what's important here. So our goal is then, we figure out where Facebook's spending, and then we're testing more new concepts around that's getting spend because the algorithm's telling us to do so. And we do that while building out creative diversity. So I'll give you a tangible example here. I always go to a dog bed example because everyone's seen that product and it's super simple. Let's say this concept is testing, it's a durable bed, right? Your dog can't rip it up. And that's what's getting the spend. Now, my point is with creative diversity is what new concepts can I test under the same angle of the bed being durable that gives Facebook more strong assets to work with? Well, what I'd probably do is I'd take the hook in that winning ad and I would turn that into a photo ad. I turn that into a GIF. I'd probably do a type 2 ad at this point because it's working, and I'd give it to a new creator. Another thing I would do is I would take the same exact angle with messaging here, and I would rewrite it. I would take the winning hook and I would rewrite the rest of the ad to create a net new ad that's completely different, sounds different, but still under the same angle, right? We're creating a bunch of different assets, videos, photos, GIFs, etc., to give the algorithm based off of the concept that's working. And the goal of this is to give Facebook as many assets that convert as possible and then let the algorithm do its thing. So that was kind of a long rant to explain that I don't really care to break down my 322 ad into what specific elements are performing over the others, right? People want to get very, very specific with, okay, but out of those 3 creatives, which is the winning hook? Or out of those 2 headlines, which one's getting the most spend? Or out of those 2 primary texts? And that's great and all. And when that was possible with flex ads, I was looking at that too. But it's not possible right now. And yet we're still scaling and we're still testing completely fine. How? By just not looking as granular, taking a step back and understanding that 80% of your outcomes comes from 20% of what you do. And that 20% here is really, really focusing on the concept, which isn't just, okay, the words in the hook or the script itself. It's the big overarching idea of why are we testing this concept? What avatar? What stage of awareness? What script framework, right? What messaging are we using? That is what you focus on. And so every single one of our type 1 ads or even the type 2 ads that we launch, right, has a clear thesis as to why we're testing it, right? Or else why are we testing it in the first place? We're not randomly spam testing here. So each concept that we test has a clear thesis as to why we're testing it. That way, if it works or if it doesn't work, we can get an answer to that, right? That's what we're trying to do here. And as long as every single concept that you launch, you have a clear thesis for, where you're tracking it on a Google Doc or something like that, a Google Sheet, then I don't really care to break down the 3 videos that are there and which hook does the best, because it's directional information. if I test this durable dog bed, right? And I'll give you a clear example here, right? If I go like this and we're testing a few different flex ads. This one is about durable, and this is a simple example, but you could get broad with this, or it could be super specific of this hook versus this hook, or this messaging versus this messaging, or it could be just broad angles. It could be photo versus video. Point is, it's the direction and the thesis behind the concept that you're launching that really matters and makes the difference. So in this example, let's say we launch 3 different flex ads. We're testing for the dog bed, an angle or messaging that's around it being durable, around one of it being it reduces anxiety for the dog, and one being, who knows, let's go with the quality of fabric. Now, in my head, what I'm trying to say with quality of fabric is some sort of material that you use helps with the dog's fur, or it helps with the dog's joints, right? It supports the dog. I'll make it even clearer, and I'll put that here, right? We'll put joint health, right? Probably a terrible example, but you get the point. We're testing 3 different concepts here. After testing them, we find durable gets the most spend, okay? Durable gets the most spend. This one, maybe it got a bit. Let's say we're testing $1,000, whatever. This one picked up 800. This one maybe picked up, 150, right? And then this one picked up 50. Now, what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that the algorithm thinks the messaging of the dog bed being durable will drive the most volume of purchases. Now, would it be nice to know the 3 exact videos that are in there and what hook's performing the best so you could reuse it? Sure. But what's more important is that now we know for our next batch of tests to focus on the messaging around durable and really double down there. Okay? And then that's what you do. And so you don't have to get too specific with which hook is which. Would that be beneficial? Sure. But once again, 80% of your results come from focusing more zoomed out on the actual overall concept, stage of awareness, desire that we're testing, okay? So focus on that and you will scale. You don't have to get granular with, okay, well, what's the hook rate? What's the hold rate? What's the click-through rate? I haven't looked at those metrics in over a year and we've scaled. Now, some people listen to this, some creative strategists will listen to this and say, oh, this guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I may not, right? I may not. All I know is when I focus on the real big levers that really move the needle, which is the desire, the stage of the awareness, the avatar we're targeting, in essence, right? The concept, right? The overall concept that we're targeting and why we're doing it, I scale. And as long as every single week of tests that you launch is based off of the theses and the things you've learned from the previous batches you've launched, you're moving in the right direction, right? And you don't find a big winner every single time you launch one of these tests. But if you continue to do that, you will scale. Sooner or later, you'll hit the winner and you will scale. Okay? So I had to break that down because I got a lot of questions about that. Now, I want to even take a step back now and touch a little bit on why do I set it up this way, right? Why is this so simple? Why does this make a big difference? Well, when we test with this campaign setup, right? One campaign, one ad set, we just launch flex ads in there. And we make sure the flex ads are, once again, pre-planned out with concepts and theses. What we're doing is we're simplifying our work on the front end with media buying. There's not much you have to do outside of uploading ads, right? All the work comes to the creative strategy. So when you get all this time back from having to manage ABO testing, from running your cost caps and bid caps and having 100 different ad sets and campaigns and whatever, and spending hours a day in the media buying, you get hours a day back to go actually do what matters, which once again is doing the customer research. And in fact, alongside with that is actually working on the rest of the business, improving AOV, conversion rate, expanding to new markets, new product lines, improving your margin, operational efficiency. There's so many things that scale you so much further than just spam testing ads. So you buy back a ton of time. Now put that towards the things that actually grow the business. You should always take a step back, look at the business and say, well, what are those 2 to 3 things that if we solve them would really scale us massively? Then go put the focus there. Don't spend the time on media buying. Okay. Now, with that being said, there's a couple of reasons why I test CBO specifically, and I'm gonna get into that now. The first is Facebook controls where the spend goes. Okay. Now, this is important. Now, people will often say, well, listen, I launched 10 concepts this week and none of them got spent. The answer is good. Okay. The answer is good. Now, once again, if you don't believe me, go test it. Like, I encourage you, go test what you want for yourself. I test this about 3 times a year because I even doubt my own strategy all the time. I've tested this year, testing ABO, controlling the budgets, right? $50, $100 a day, $250 a day on each individual concept versus just launching them in the CBO. And what I found time and time again, every single time I've tested it, is a few things, right? The first is that the ones don't spend, don't scale. So what this means is, I didn't want to sit and write a whole paragraph, is when I test these side by side, and in an ABO, let's say this new concept is testing $100 a day, and then I throw it in the CBO and let Facebook decide where it spends, and it doesn't get any spend, okay? Even if this ABO one is doing well at $250 a day or $100 a day, whatever it may be, and the ROAS is good, I'm like, great, okay, maybe ABO testing is better than the CBO because in the CBO, it wasn't getting any spend, and the ABO was performing well. Great. Well, then I'm saying, okay, well, now let's scale it, right? So I start scaling the budget in the ABO, and it just doesn't work, right? I just can't get the ad to scale. And what that means is Facebook wasn't spending to it at all in the CBO because it knew it wasn't going to be able to scale, right? So it saved you from wasting time diving further into an ad that was never going to scale to begin with. Okay? I've seen that happen time and time again, every single time I've tested it or one of our clients has tested it. They go test ABO. They're like, Dante, look, I put in ABO and it's working and it wasn't getting spent in the CBO. I'm like, okay, great. We'll scale it. Like, see if it scales. And then it never does. It just never does. And that's the first one. The second one, which is to me just as important, if not more important, is I lose less money. So because Facebook's deciding where to spend, it's not spending on ads, once again, that the algorithm doesn't think will drive you the most purchases. And so what happens is if I run the ABO, let's say I'm launching 10 concepts, maybe 2 or 3 of those do decent. That didn't do decent in the CBO, but they can't scale. They're $250, $500 a day. Okay, maybe they're making a bit of a difference, but they're not really scaling the business, right? We have a couple more ads doing $250 a day, but it's not an ad that takes over most of the spend and really scales us. The other 8, you lost money on for 3 to 7 days straight as you're testing it. Versus in the CBO, it never got spent in the first place. So now we're saving thousands of dollars on losing tests, right? So every single time I've tested this, the CBO overall had a better ROAS than testing the ABO. And therefore, I'm losing less money on my testing. A lot less money because they don't get spent if they don't work, right? And that's another important part. Because even if they were getting spent, they get 250 or 500, they're not scaling the business. And once again, this is when it goes back to the first thing I talked about, of focusing on the directional, broad concepts and really dialing on the 20% of things that you 80% of the results. Is if it's not going to really make a big difference to scaling your business, like I want to put the focus there. I'm not worried about getting 4, 5, 10, 20 new ads that are able to, handle $100 budgets a day. I'm looking for the next big winning ad that can pick up majority of spend in the ad account and really scale the business and make a difference. That's the goal with this strategy. I don't care about giving each ad a fair test. I just don't. I'd rather just lose less money, right? And then find ads that really scale, okay? So that's one very important point. Now, the next major point I want to talk about here is because it's higher confidence testing. And what I mean by that is by testing the same ad set or the same campaign. When you find a winner, it's really a winner because you're testing the new ads against the already existing proven working ads for you, right? I'm not putting it by itself in an ABO and forcing budget to it and then scaling it. I'm putting it up against the best of the best ads I have. And so when an ad wins, it really wins, right? If you've ever tried this method and when you find a winning ad that takes over spend, you scale like crazy. I have some clients who've come in, they're doing 3, 4K a day, one winning ad, 20K a day, right? And would that happen in ABO if they tested it there? Maybe, but maybe they probably lose a lot more money trying to get to that point versus when you test in the one campaign setup, or once again, even one ad set setup that I have going on, you're testing against the best of your best ads. You're putting it up against the best. So that means for it to perform, it needs to be really good, which is why it's harder to find winners. You don't find winners as often with this setup, but when you find the winners, they really make a difference to your business and scale massively. Okay, that's a very, very important point that I have to mention there. Now, Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about to wrap this video up here is budget. How do you scale? When do you scale? Etc. So I keep it very, very simple. If you're hitting your KPI, I increase my budget 20% daily until I'm at my target. That's it. Okay? That's it. To reduce budget, I'm looking over the last 7-day period and being under target. That's it. Magic, right? Very simple. If I'm hitting my target and I'm beating my target where I'm at, I'll increase the budget by 20% every single day until I'm at the target, and then I'll wait, right? Then if I look, I'm hitting my target again, I'll increase it again. If I'm over my target, I only look and reduce budget based off the last 7 days of data. If over the last 7 days I'm over my target, it's time to reduce. If not, I'm fine if there's a couple bad days here and there. It happens. It's business. I leave it at the current budget. That's it. Very simple. Now, what's more important is that you have a clear KPI that you're determining your scale off of and making your decisions off of, right? I guess I can't spell clear here. Let me get rid of that. Clear KPI. So what you need to do is look at your overall business MER target and AMER. These are fancy words to say ROAS and new customer ROAS. Now, MER is your overall business ROAS for your entire business, and AMER or AMER is your new customer ROAS across your entire business. The important part here is across your entire business. I'm not determining my scale looking at the Facebook ad account. Reason being, if you run a proper business here, you have revenue and new customers coming in from other sources of traffic, right? You have people who are searching for your brand and coming through Google. You have organic search. You may have some organic, right? But you have Google brand or Google whatever you're running on Google, which you should be. You have email and SMS. You have referrals / word of mouth, right? And now word of mouth could be organic search. You can consider that the same thing. But point is, you have new customers coming in from other places, your welcome series flow, abandoned cart flow, etc. And so if you look at your overall MER and what MER you need to hit your profit target, and that's just total revenue divided by total spend across all channels, right? Amazon would be included in this. Let's say you need a 2.5. Well, what you'll realize is on Facebook, when you have a 2.5 MER, on Facebook, you actually only have a 1.8, right? And you are running your Facebook thinking you need a 2.5 to hit your target, when in reality, your Facebook can be at a 1.8 and still hit your overall profit target, right? The biggest brands I know who spend the most on Facebook ads are not running their Facebook ads at a 2, 3, 4x ROAS, right? My break even is around a 1.6 ROAS. I run my Facebook at a 1.2. A 1.2. So technically I'm losing a shit ton of money every single day on Facebook. And yet, overall in my entire business, I'm still hitting my AMER target. I'm still profiting on every single new customer that comes into the business. And because of that, I'm still hitting my overall ROAS target and hitting the profit goal that I want to hit, right? Even though I'm losing money on Facebook considerably. Reason being is Facebook's job is not to make profit for you. Facebook's job and algorithm is to give you as many new customers as possible. That's how you want to utilize it. So the goal is, how can we set up our business model to where the goal of Facebook simply becomes pushing as many new customers as we can and then profiting on our other more profitable channels: email, SMS, Google, organic search, word of mouth, etc. And so now when you look at Facebook this way, right, you're able to push Facebook a lot further than you think. And because you're spending more on Facebook, one, your creative testing gets better and optimizes faster. Two, your email, Google, etc. all does better because you're driving more traffic and you make even more profit from the back end than you thought you ever needed to do on the front end. And so all of a sudden now, Facebook isn't making you profit. It's driving completely new customers into the business. You're scaling massively because you're acquiring way more new customers and yet still hitting your profit target. So that's a very, very important point, and do not forget that. So you need a clear KPI. You need to know what your overall MER should be for the business to hit the profit you want to hit. Then, based off that target, what does your new customer MER, AMER, need to be to hit that? Then you go figure out what on-channel ROAS you need to hit your AMER, right? So you start there and you work your way down. You say, okay, I need a 2.5 MER to hit 20% profit. Now to get a 2.5 MER, I need a 2.2 new customer MER. And to get a 2.2 on Facebook, I need a 1.6. Great. Now when you're determining your scale on Facebook, how much to scale budgets, you're scaling to a 1.6. Previously, you thought a 2.2. Turns out it's a 1.6. And you can imagine pushing budgets to a 1.6 ROAS is a whole lot more fun and a whole lot more spend than a 2.2, right? So with that being said, if you want to learn more things like this and work directly with me and my clients that are doing over 100 mil a year combined, links in the description. Other than that, leave comments and questions you have. I'll get to it and answer them. And with that being said, I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next one.